Will have been a long night and an early start for you, but you must be thrilled with this result.
Yeah, delighted for Lindsay Whittle and all the team that fought so hard for this victory, and delighted for the constituency of Caerphilly too for such a historic result. But it's not just historic in and of itself. There's a real significance here, of course, in that this comes 6 months before the general election in Wales, where Plaid Cymru is now being seen more and more as a party ready to form the next government, the first non-Labour-led government in the history of devolution.
What does this win tell us about Plaid and its people? Because we're seeing here pictures of Lindsay. This was his 14th attempt. Like, he's stuck the course.
He is Mr. Caerphilly. He's represented his community for the best part of 5 decades. He's been the leader of the council here on a couple of occasions. He's also represented the constituency in the Welsh Parliament with distinction in the past. And they know they have, that genuine community champion in him. But of course, they have behind Lindsay a party that is in such a good place in terms of our programme for government going into next year, in terms of our determination to reset Welsh politics, standing up for the people of communities like this in Caerphilly with a different kind of proposition for government. There's been a tiredness with Labour for such a long time. The disillusionment has really shown itself so clearly since Keir Starmer came into power. Change is in the air, and Plaid Cymru so clearly now, having seen reform rejected here yesterday, is that positive change that hopefully I can persuade the whole of Wales now to embrace.
You talk about that hopefulness to persuade the whole of Wales. If we were to extrapolate, and it's tricky with these kind of things, but if we were to extrapolate forward to next year, you would win 52 seats, Reform at 33 and Labour at 10. How achievable do you think the success of last night is nationally?
Well, I never take anything for granted in politics, and we work hard for every single vote now for the next 6 months, as we did here. But it's very, very clear that change is achievable. And I don't want people just to think of Plaid Cymru as an alternative. I want them to think of Plaid Cymru as the government that can take Wales forward on the next chapter in its story. I think one of the big barriers to change is people not believing that change is possible. Well, they see now from this result, from polls months after months, that Plaid Cymru is in a place where we've never been before, ready to lead Welsh government and changing Wales for the better, for good.
You talked there about people maybe perceiving you as an alternative vote, and there will be some critics who say that this was a win for you as a result of tactical voting, either to keep out reform or to really put the needle in against Labour. What's your response to those accusations that this was maybe a flash in the pan in this one by-election, and it might not be repeated in 2026?
I think we look at the wider context. Plaid had our most successful ever UK general election last year, so this comes off the back of that. We have seen consistent polling for some time now, showing Plaid Cymru in the lead. And what I want to do is build on what we've seen in Caerphilly. Not just here, and repay the faith shown in Lindsay Whittle and in us yesterday, but show that we can take that forward to the whole of Wales. I firmly believe we can do that, and the closer that election in May comes, I think people will become more and more focused on why it is that we need a change of government. I think they've decided that already, but why it is in a choice of two futures, the division and lack of ideas and no real interest in Wales, if we can be honest, from reform, or that ambition by a party in Plaid Cymru that has been standing up for Wales for a century and that is now really ready to offer new leadership for Wales.
You just mentioned Reform there and said they have no interest in Wales. Reform will join us later in the programme, and I'm sure they'll say, well, look, we got about 400 votes the last time there was an election in Caerphilly. Now we've got 12,000. We've got 36% of the vote. We have a lot of interest in Wales because voters there have a lot of interest in us. You have to acknowledge that they have had, despite coming second, a successful night. What will be your countenance to the challenge of reform?
We have to acknowledge that people are frustrated about the state of their communities, of public services, and have been drawn to reform in greater numbers. This is a global phenomenon. This isn't something happening in Caerphilly or in Wales or the UK. This is happening across the world. What we have to do, of course, is show that there's an alternative, positive way forward with actual answers. When I say that Reform aren't particularly interested in Wales, what I mean by that is they don't have candidates ahead of next year. They don't have a leader in Wales. Nigel Farage himself admits they have no policies for Wales. I think the people of Wales deserve better than that, and they have in Plaid Cymru a party that has all of that in spades. This has been a restart of a reset of politics in Wales. I want to see that through now. I've made it clear, said it in my conference speech a couple of weeks ago. We're here to replace Labour, and it's not just for its own sake. It's so that we get better outcomes for Wales. That's what Plaid Cymru is always about.
Rhun Iorwerth, good to have you with us. Appreciate you sharing your time. Joining us live from Caerphilly. Thank you.